You know that stubborn ache that never seems to quite go away? The one that ice, heat, or pain pills barely even affect or touch? What if you could target it all at the cellular level instead of just numbing it? That's exactly what Thera Blue was designed to do. Thera Blue is a next generation pain-relieving peptide gel that works deeper than the skin's surface, goes deep below. It's called subcutaneous. Powered by aqua molecular delivery technology, it delivers peptides and botanicals directly into muscle tissue for legitimate, lasting relief. Its hero ingredient is copper peptide, promotes collagen synthesis. It reduces inflammation and helps accelerate and repair. NAD Plus restores cellular energy to aid in recovery, while methylene blue protects your mitochondria and supports endurance. Natural extracts like MSM, turmeric, white willow bark, arnica, and ginger soothe inflammation, while menthol, camphor, and eucalyptus oil deliver instant cooling relief. It absorbs fast, leaves your skin refreshed, not greasy. Apply a thin layer, massage until absorbed into your skin, and let your body start experiencing lasting recovery. And by the way, get 10% off by visiting twc.health/voice. Again, use that code VOICE, V-O-I-C-E. Move freely again with Thera Blue. All right, my next guest is the founder and executive director of Power and Future, which advocates for rural energy communities. Really important, right? Rural energy communities, not the big cities where a lot of liberals hang out, the rural communities where they're at the mercy of government regulation. Fights against activist agendas. He says less energy production means more expensive gas, food, goods, and housing. Happy to bring back Daniel Turner to the show. Daniel, Power the Future exposed a climate lawfare campaign which targets America's courts. Will you tell us about that? I want to get to Caroline. Let's do this. I was at the briefing room earlier today, just a couple hours ago, and we were talking, turns out we were talking about a lot about energy and the effect on the economy. Just take a look at this real quick.
President Trump has also delivered resoundingly on his promise to end Joe Biden's insane war on American energy and make sure our country has reliable and affordable energy produced right here at home. As a result, the nationwide average for regular gas just fell to its lowest level in nearly 5 years. According to data from Gas Buddy released on Monday, average gas prices have now dipped below $3 per gallon in 37 states, below $2.75 per gallon in 22 states, and below $2.50 per gallon in 5 states.
And that is in 10 months or so. But if Biden had his way, if the green agenda had their way, Daniel, they'd have us looking like Europe in no time. Tell us about it.
Yeah, actually, I saw some idiot on Twitter, a lefty influencer was in California, and he posted a photo of the gas prices there and said, this is really the price of gas in America. And everyone has been taking him to town saying, no, actually, buddy, that's the price of gas in California. When you deregulate and you allow markets to operate freely, you get lower prices. And that's been good for our economy and heads us in this right direction. But what's happening now, which is why I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this, you know, our European friends are greener than America. They've been pushing the climate agenda for decades. They were all just in Brazil, right, at COP30, talking about climate change. And a bunch of bureaucrats in Brussels are trying to pass new regulatory climate change rules that would punish American businesses. And they want to do it through the supply chain and say, hey, look, even though you're a European company, if you get products from America and those products, those American companies that supply your plastic or your fertilizer or whatever, if those companies don't adhere to our new climate rules, well, then you have to pay these higher fines and these higher taxes. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to punish American businesses under the guise of climate change, of course. They're trying to punish American companies with these ridiculous new European climate rules. And so we've sent a letter to Commerce Secretary Lutnick, to obviously Secretary of State Rubio, to say America has to push back hard on a bunch of unelected bureaucrats in Brussels pushing their crazy climate agenda.
Well, Brussels happens to be where they love to, where the globalists love to hang out and dictate what's great for the world at the expense of who? The American consumer, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, and they're watching our economy take off. President Trump rightly brags that we're the hottest country on earth. And that's not a surprise considering the regulatory environment he's created. And a lot of that comes from abundant, reliable, affordable energy. But if you are one of these European bureaucrats, if you're looking at the climate agenda and you don't see enough of your agenda implemented, then America is your enemy. And it's odd because they are desperate for American natural gas, but yet they buy it from Russia, right? They're desperate for American oil, and yet they would much rather buy it from Iran, vis-a-vis third-party intermediaries. And so it's insane that we have to constantly have these secret war battles, these secret skirmishes with our European quote-unquote partners, when Europe, it seems, at every step is trying to undermine America's success and American economy.
Dan, talk to us. You mentioned natural gas, and I'm very familiar with natural gas. Spent 15 years trading natural gas in New York. Pennsylvania may be the largest producer of natural gas in America. Josh Shapiro, their governor, has turned down an LNG terminal. They said, we don't want it, not in my backyard, in Pennsylvania. Josh Shapiro also wants to be president, right? He's going to run for president in 2028. Just tell the people, folks, how tenuous the situation is. If you get another liberal in the White House, or you get a leftist Senate and House, how scary, how dangerous that could be to the American economy.
Oh, absolutely. And just gas prices are the best example of that. It has taken 8 or 9 or 10 months to get gas prices to where they are, but that's the direction we're headed in. And as soon as you get this crazy climate agenda back with any real power, we're going to reverse all of this. And the other prices that we're still struggling with, beef prices, whatever, that's built in from 3 and 4 years of bad energy policy. Again, it is reversing and it's headed in the right direction. But if someone like Shapiro or Gavin Newsom were president, it would be a disaster. And I'm glad you mentioned Governor Shapiro, because when it comes to energy, you can't trust this guy. When he was up for election, he completely flip-flopped on fracking and on natural gas. As Attorney General, he was suing left and right. But then he realized, oh, crap, I want to be governor. Suddenly I love it. John Fetterman did the exact same thing. Now, I'm glad he came to our side. But now that these folks want different offices, now they change their tune. Maura Healey, governor of Massachusetts, bragged as attorney general that she blocked natural gas pipelines. Now she's up for re-election, and suddenly she's on record saying, oh, I never blocked pipelines. So they tinker with our energy needs, and they put the American people in grave peril, economic and life peril, all for their campaign purposes. It's really deplorable.
I am shocked. Daniel, are you going to tell me that some progressive liberals are hypocrites? That is so shocking to me. I mean, it's literally my whole show almost every day. What is with the liberal left, especially in the energy policy with the Green New Deal and Greenies? They want to become more like Europe, and Europe is failing on just about every standard.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that it's not working, right? If they had this European model to look at and say, hey, look at what they're doing in terms of renewables, in terms of going green, and how much better their quality of life or their bills are, right? And if working, let's define working. Working means, in the electricity world, your rates are lower and your grid is as or more reliable than before. Where has that been the case, right? I did a Vermont radio show the other day where a caller was screaming at me because I was blasting green energy, and he was saying a country like Norway is 88% renewable. And I was like, well, no, Norway's 88% hydro. And if Vermont had 9,000-foot fjords that it was able to put up hydropower, then I'd say, great, then Vermont should go hydro, right? But anywhere they've pushed the wind and solar agenda, it's been a complete and utter failure in terms of cost and in terms of the sustainability of the grid. And yet they continue to look at Europe and they say, let's bring more of that here. It's like exporting California to the rest of the nation. California is an abject failure, and yet Governor Newsom's the front runner for 2028.
I'm going to jump in here. Dan, I don't mean to cut you off. I only have about a minute or so, and I really, really want you to tell the folks, I know this is a huge Achilles for the United States, especially energy policy. Our grid, how secure is our grid? How stable is our grid?
It keeps me up at night in the sense that we need a lot more electricity production, and not just because of the data centers, which are huge energy sucks. It's because Joe Biden took away more than 100 reliable coal and natural gas plants and replaced them with nothing. And as you know, the law of economics, if you have a dwindling supply and a steady demand, the only thing that can happen is higher prices. And people wonder, why are we paying 30, 40% more for electricity? Because our supply is down and our demand is actually going up. So our grid is not in the shape it needs to be by any means.
And it's not only the production, which is the supply end of it, it's actually the transportation of it, the delivery of it. It's a shaky grid, folks. It's a very shaky.
Yeah.
It's like all these little wires hanging down. One of them goes and they don't get power over. We got to up that system. We got to spend a couple $1 trillion making sure our electricity grid is badass again, like it once was. Daniel Turner, founder and executive director of Power the Future, all things energy, my man. Always good to have you on.
God bless, Eric. Thanks.
You too. Have a great Christmas. We'll be back 2.5 minutes.